always introduce myself as local international. Let me explain the local part first, and then the international bit. I'm local because I'm born in India. I'm from the state of Assam, what we call Ahom, and I spent the first 23 years of my life in India. And then I went for my studies. Netherlands became my home, and I now come back. I come back to India to work for the Dutch government, and that's the international bit. And I travel with a non-Indian passport, so that's the international bit. So I am actually feeling very much at home today for three things. First of all, to be able to connect to the state of Kerala, there's such a long history and a heritage between Netherlands and Kerala. That's one reason, of course. The second reason is, as I came in and our honorable ministers were felicitated, I saw them being honored the shawl. This shawl actually is from the state of Assam. I thought, wow, it's good to have a shipping minister from my state of origin, right? So I feel very, very much at home. So in a nutshell, whereas I'm no less Dutch than any other Dutch, but fir bhi dil hai Hindustani. All right, very good. Honorable ministers, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. Are there any ladies here? I mean, I see few. Very male-dominant industry, so for the few of you who are here, I salute your courage and your ambitions. This is great. I mean, of course, as we'll go forward, as the industry will move forward, we'd like to see more and more women participation in this industry. All of you must be hungry and tired. The lady here already said, cut it short. I want to ask you, can I have 2 minutes, or is that also long enough? Can I take 2-3 minutes? Is it okay? Thank you very, very, very much. I was looking at those three words, the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, and I was thinking, what is one common word between these three things? Of course, ports, shipping, waterways, world has evolved so much. And when you talk about ports, waterway shipping, so many different facets comes to your mind, so many different perspectives. Many of the speakers before me mentioned a few of those new evolving perspectives, and many new perspectives will keep on evolving. But one word which is common to all three is connectivity. Connectivity is one common word which is relevant for port, shipping, and waterways. And I come from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action of the Netherlands, and I'm heading the trade offices. In my role, I basically connect people to people, companies to companies, government to government, companies to government, government to companies. So standing here for the next 2-3 minutes, if you may allow me, what I'll try to share is to connect you to some of the thoughts, ideas that we as Netherlands are talking about, thinking about, and let us see how we can connect to some of the things that we heard about and that we are developing in this beautiful country here. First of all, Netherlands, of course, I need to talk about Netherlands briefly because it's a very small country, right? Do all of you know about Netherlands? Have you heard about it? And I'm sure you've heard about another country called Holland. Have you heard about Holland as well? These are not two countries. We confuse ourselves. Not too long ago, in all my government stationery, we had sometimes Holland and sometimes Netherlands. Now we are trying to be a little bit more uniform. So we are the Netherlands, and Holland are just two provinces within the country of the Netherlands. It is a very small country, 230 kilometers north to south, 130 kilometers east to west. Let us try to understand this in the context of a port. You must have heard about a port called the Port of Rotterdam, which a few decades ago used to be the biggest port in the world, not anymore. Many big ports have come up now in terms of capacity. But the Port of Rotterdam is pretty long. It's 40 kilometers long, right? Stretches out to the sea. And we keep on extending outside because not much to do inside. So if you flip the Port of Rotterdam horizontally and flip it over 3 times, 40, 40, 40, we are actually already in Germany. But that's a very important context. I'll come to that in a second. Now, when I said about connectivity. When you talk about connectivity, we need to understand it in the context of 2 things. First one is geopolitics. Let me a little bit elaborate on what that means. We have seen through the events of the last few years, how the world is changing. We have seen how disruptions in supply chain can create what kind of turbulences in our day-to-day lives. So as Netherlands, we are strongly looking for less and less disruptions, like all of us, indeed. We want our supply chains to be more reliable, resilient, and of course, efficient. We strongly believe that we cannot keep on continuing on us relying on one major supplier. We are fully behind the China plus one strategy. It could be very well China plus two, China plus three, China plus four. But we believe in diversification of our supply chain. Now, it is very easy to talk about diversification, but it also comes with a lot of requirements. When you talk about diversification, we're definitely looking at major countries like India, with a tremendous research pool of engineers, technical knowledge, innovative minds. Definitely look at countries like India. We look at some other countries as well. But production is not just a solution in itself. We also need to look at what cost would my consumers be buying from a new country. I remember in my first few months in India, I was interacting with the then shipping minister of India, Mr. Mansukhbhai Mandavia. Then I kept on talking about ports, and Mansukhbhai said, Boraji, ye sab chhodiye. I'll tell you my problem. I know that my exports from India are 14% more expensive, logistic cost-wise. Of course, 14%, depending on the cost of goods, would translate to some smaller percentage, but that doesn't matter. In this very competitive market, 14% does add up to a number. So he said that this 14% more expensive, the more is wastage. How can I take this wastage out? And of course, when we talk about and when we see things like the Gati Shakti mission of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Bhai Modi, we start to believe that India is going in the right direction. When we see conclaves like this being organized, where the right stakeholders are brought in, we see and we start to believe that this is the moment, like you're saying, Mr. Tripathi, the moment for India that we should be relying on as well. But of course, there are other things as well. As Netherlands, we are a maritime power. Would not be wrong to say that. India is also a maritime power, used to be from a very long time. We also have learned it in the hard way. As things will evolve, things will grow. One major challenge that we faced, and I can imagine at some point, if not looked at now, could be a challenge for India, is on human resource. As the industry grows, the demand for quality human resource would also grow. Number is important, but the quality is even more important. Because that's where the reliance comes from. That's where the belief on a particular country, on a particular company, a particular industry comes from. So the focus on human resource cannot be more important than today, what it is today. That is because of the changing reality, which is my second context. The second context is climate change. Now, when we talk about climate change, it is no more a textbook subject. Climate change is actually very relevant in three ways. Simply understanding climate change is more water level, water depth. I know you're standing up, I'm cutting short. As the water depths will continue to grow, the design and engineering knowledge that are required to build ports and to build port-led industries would also change. First thing. The second thing is the societies are becoming more and more demanding. The actual regulatory clearance for any industry to operate is already so, but more so in the future, is not going to come from the governments, but is going to come from the societies. So whatever we do today, we have to be careful how the societies will judge that. Will we get a check from the societies where we operate?